This is Football Warriors Fantasy Football Deep Dive of Season 1 with your host, Commissioner Romocop.
All right, welcome in. This is a deep dive into Season 1 of our league, the Football Warriors Fantasy Football League, and I am your host, Commissioner Romocop. So let's get into this. The league is now 10 years old from when we first got together, and the league was formed in 2013. Our first season we played, obviously, as you can see there, was the 2014 season. The league started halfway placed by me. I had people that wanted to play. And then the rest of the league was filled in from a Facebook post that I had posted online looking for random people to join a fantasy football league. If I were to do the same thing today, I wouldn't do it that way. But back then, things were different. The way I saw things were different. So I just said, hey, why not? And I put out a feeler to try to fill the league up, but you got to have all the members of the league to be able to play. So once we had everybody together, we obviously played our season. I'm going to go in here now. That's how the league finished. But we'll go into the actual standings here for 2014 season, which, if you can believe it, time flies, especially if you were there from the beginning. As you can see, here is the final standings, but we'll go back to the regular season. Split between East and West. We only had 8 teams in. Now we have 10. You probably know that. We have the East and the West, as you can see. Team Greenwood and Team Cannon were the respective winners of the divisions the very first year. But as you can see, it's not quite the same landscape as we see it today. And if you notice, there's a lot of people with the word team in their name. I guess we were a bunch of rookies or something. We'll take a look at that. Obviously, we'll go left to right. We have Mark, Damian, James Ryan, and Tasha on the east side. And on the west side, we have Bo, myself, James Murray, and Martin Wiley on the west. That's how our league originated and how it started. The draft order was random. Really, the division I set as random. As you can see, some teams have stayed clearly in the East and the West, and we've just kind of replaced members and changed stuff up since then. But it's pretty much stayed solid as you can see here between who's in the East and the West. All right, now moving on. Let's see. Let's go back and check out the scoreboard. This is the playoff. This is the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 1 was the Urban Achievers 262 over Team Greenwood 247. And the consolation ladder, as you can see underneath there, really didn't mean anything. Some would say it doesn't mean anything now. But back then, we didn't play Pit of Misery or anything, so the consolation ladder was just there to be there. This was a real fun time. I mean, the league was in its infancy. Nobody really knew what would happen or how it would go, or even if it would survive. I mean, I had high hopes that it would survive. I knew it would face changes, and who knows where it would have went from here. But it was a good first season. Very interesting, getting everything going for the most part. And obviously, I'm satisfied where it's landed now that we're 10 years out somehow. But just wanted to take a look back at this. This is pretty fun to do. The next part is real fun because it will be the draft recap from that year. And that is super fun because I bet you don't remember everybody you drafted from season 1. But all right, let's get to some fun stuff. Let's look at the draft recap. I noticed that it says the draft date is Wednesday, August 27th at 12:30 noon. I don't think it knows what time it was, is I'm pretty damn sure we didn't do a draft at 12:30 noon. But that's fine. That doesn't matter. The point is, round one, the very first pick in our league was by Martin Wiley, who selected Adrian Peterson as his selection. Not really a shock there because Adrian Peterson was a superstar at that point, or still was. But there's round one, as you can see. Next off the board, LaShawn McCoy to the Urban Achievers. No surprise there. Well, I'm not going to go pick by pick. We have two quarterbacks next. I mean, I'll do the first round, but you know what I mean. Peyton Manning and Drew Brees to Bo and James. And then running backs to end the round. Jamal Charles by myself, Matt Forte by Mark, Eddie Lacy for James Ryan, and Tasha selected Marshawn Lynch. Pretty fun. I didn't remember all that. Obviously, I peeked ahead, but I didn't remember when I first looked at it. But that's how things go. I mean, 10 years go by and you don't remember what the hell happened in the first ever draft. But should be no shock to anybody that Adrian Peterson went first. All right. Typical no surprise names there in round two. Calvin Johnson, Jimmy Graham, of course, Dez Bryant. Bo selecting the Denver wide receiver Demaryius Thomas to pair with Peyton Manning was the very funny highlight of the first two rounds of the league, because he selected the Broncos fans, two players. So it was a nice little troll job there, I guess. Funny way to start the league. But what else do I see on there? DeMarco when he went to the Eagles. That's gross. So yeah, I mean, these were the dudes. Round three. More of the same. Never heard of Tom Brady before. I'm surprised he lasted to the end of round three there, but that's what it is. Round four is when it gets a little wonky there. The first pick is kicker Steven Gostkowski for Tasha's team. Sure, it's not competitive advantage to tell you that that's not the right move there. But the kicker was selected there. Everybody makes mistakes, I guess. That doesn't happen anymore, so I can safely say that it's probably the last time that a kicker will have been selected at that point in the draft. All right, let's shift this and look at it by team. As you can see, it lays it out for each team and each selection there. I'll scroll down here in a little bit. Well, let's start, I guess, where it has it at my team, Team Romocop, not Commissioner Romocop. That would make its debut later in a future video here. But for season one, Team Romocop selects these guys. I remember most of this. Giovanni Bernard ended up on 800 of my fantasy football teams. So I would bet that he would have been on this one. So that's not really a shock. I don't remember Shane Vereen. I know who it is, but I don't fully remember drafting him. Not super shocked about that, though. And then my Dallas picks there. Not shocked at that either. A little bit of loading up on Cowboys. And then I have Phillip Rivers and his 35 children now, probably. Maybe half of that. Who knows? And current NFL commentator Greg Olson. Time does fly. And then let's look at Marks. We have, like I said, he led off with Matt Forte. He has the not crazy at all Antonio Brown, who would remain on his team for quite a while, if my memory serves correct, which it does. And then what else do we have? We have future Eagles Super Bowl champion Nick Foles. That's gross. And then a name I haven't thought about in forever, Bishop Sankey. I remember him, but I really have not heard that name in probably 8 to 10 years. He was always on those Madden games, clearly. And Phil Dawson as the kicker, which I wouldn't bet against. He's not kicking football somewhere as a 100-year-old man. All right, let's keep looking into this. Moving down here, we have Tasha's team up next. Quite a collection of players there, and some names that one might remember. Good start there to the draft. The kicker, obviously, is a regret, but that is what it is. Monty Ball, Zach Stacy, uh, those guys were always around. That's funny. Toby Gerhart, also a name I haven't thought of in forever. And then down at the bottom there, it's a hell of a pick there. DeAndre Hopkins in round 16. He was a rookie then, I believe. Almost would have to be at that point, and that's what happens. Draft to draft, you never know who's going to end up being a superstar or whatever. But yeah, I mean, those are a lot of the names of the time. Cam, Victor Cruz. Let's move it on to Team Prodigy. That's James Ryan. He's no longer in the league. He was probably, yeah, he's probably the only league member that I did not actually know. He was recommended through my wife's job, and he knew Kami's sister Brittany, and I didn't know him, but I knew he played fantasy football, and we needed to fill a spot. He had a good run with us, nothing really crazy of note. At least he played, I guess. His draft, once again, the guys of the time. Nothing too crazy there. Ben Tate, probably not a super duper pick there. It happens. We all, pick guys that we shouldn't have picked and get lucky on others. Or have Andrew Luck retire on us all of a sudden, but that wasn't this year. Maurice Jones-Drew, when he went to Oakland, that's funny. This guy, Brandon Cooks, is now a Dallas Cowboy. He was on his first of 75 teams. All right, moving on. Russian Roulette. That was the franchise of Martin Wiley, a person I went to school with, a friend of mine from high school. I asked him to join the league. We talked about it privately, and he ended up joining. Like I said previously, he had the very first pick in the draft, Adrian Peterson. Coupling that with Rodgers, Ryan Matthews, who I don't know if I thought about that much since back then. Vernon Davis there. Vincent Jackson, who passed away, just like Demaryius Thomas did from Bo's team there. It's pretty sad, losing some of these guys. It's unfortunate, but I mean, I guess it happens clearly. The great Larry Fitzgerald there. Colin Kaepernick, I ever wonder if he made any noise or news. No Sean Moreno, known famously for crying giant tears on the sideline. Mason Crosby, who is going to be in the league forever, kicking somewhere. And of course, finishes it with a name, Kendall Wright, and doesn't finish it, but Kendall Wright's another guy who went nowhere that always looked like he had more potential than he did. Martin didn't last long in our league, but I appreciate him for being part of this first season and, well, more than that. But for participating in the league, or at least trying to play. Sometimes things don't work out. It is what it is. Like I said before, I'm happy with the way things have went, so it's no big deal there. Let's move it on down. We got 2 members left here to go. 2 members that are still in the league, 2 members that are still in the West. Very first one here on the left is Team Murray. Everybody knows that is James Murray before introducing the Oklahoma City Phantoms brand. He originally went by Team Murray, and his draft looks like this. As you can see, we got Breeze, Arian Foster, we went over, AJ Green, and then the Broncos defense in the 4th round. I bet you he wishes he could take that one back, but it is what it is. He can do that all day if he wants to, for all I care. But no shock, Jason Witten there. Not surprised. He stole that guy from me. And then some more homerness with Dan Bailey, who's probably still the best Cowboys kicker in the last 15 years, but that's a whole nother conversation. And then Jordan Cameron there, I remember him because the more famous Cameron Jordan was drafted by the Saints, and Jordan Cameron was drafted by the Dolphins. That was a fun draft that year. And then Adam Vinatieri, kicker who started his career in 1920, still playing today. Not really. That's a joke. So, yeah, James needed 2 kickers there. Not going to be mean. I'm trying not to be mean. It was year 1. Most everybody didn't know what they were doing, so we had a fun time. We really did. So yeah, there's the future Phantoms franchise in their infancy. Now let's move on. Team Cannon, Bo's team. I've previously mentioned those first 2 picks. And then, of course, Bo's man crush, Rob Gronkowski, there in the 3rd slot. Not super shocked with that. Rob Gronkowski seems like a guy that was destined to be on the resident Patriots fans team. So when that one rolls in, you're not really shocked. Maybe Tom Brady not being there is a shock, but it is what it is. He comes back with Edelman, of course. CJ Spiller there, another guy who always looked like he should be better than he was, I guess, potential. As a what could have been type deal, I guess. Joik Bell, that's a name you don't think about too often. Russell Wilson, who's now in Denver, obviously. It's a pretty good list there. Chris Ivory there on the bottom. I seem to have him on a bunch of my fantasy teams back then, too. That was another guy like that. Eric Decker is going on to do reality TV. So, yeah, that's a fun look at season 1 of the league. That was the draft. Those are the teams. Season 1 was obviously the foundation of our league, and there's a lot of adapting and mutation to come. After that, we'll get into a bunch of those there. Whenever we get into the different seasons, season 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But season 1, I don't want to call it ho-hum, but it was the foundation, and that's how it went. It was random to start with. The draft order was random, obviously, like I said. Of course, the draft, and then everything is history from there. Season 1 got wrapped up, put in the books, and we moved on to season 2, which we'll get into in the next video in this series. But I hope you've enjoyed it, taking a look back. I enjoyed looking through it myself. It's hard to remember 10 days ago, much less 10 years ago. But I look forward to checking out the other season and showing you how things morphed and adapted. You probably remember that off the top of your head on some of the bigger stuff, but we'll dive into those future seasons and see what we can uncover. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Peace.